Hi and welcome. This is the first episode of Looking Back. Our first guest is legendary John Martello. John played over 150 games at Cranbourne from 65 to 75. John was a member of our 1966 Premiership side. He captain coached the side from 69 to 71. He's won the club best and fairest 3 times, 65, 68 and 69, and the league best and fairest twice in 68 and 69. He's a life member, Hall of Fame, inductee and a legend of the club. Welcome, John, and thanks for being our first guest. You didn't grow up in Cranbourne. You came up through our junior side. You were brought up in Mordialloc. Tell us a little bit about those years, John.
Yeah, well, good years, Frank. That's what I can remember. In reference to football or just in general?
In general, yeah.
Well, they're wonderful years. Dad had a fruit shop in Mordialloc, and my backyard was the blooming front street of Mordialloc virtually, and the roads and what have you. But yeah, that's where I spent a lot of my time. Instead of running around football grounds or grassed areas, it was all the backyard of the shop, making huts out of the boxes of Dad's fruit shop and all the rest. But they were good years, Frank, real good.
You started training down at Mordialloc though, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm having a bit of a giggle because a bloke done a bit of a write-up in the Packy Gazette, and I don't know, I didn't tell him, but he said, and it wasn't quite true, he said I wasn't much of a footballer, which that was true, I wasn't much of a footballer. He said, he exaggerated a bit here. He said the blokes used to be falling over me all the time, tripping over me. Well, not quite, I'd say, but yeah. But I didn't have any ability, Frank, none whatsoever.
Right. Is that why you took up amateur boxing?
Oh no, I used to do the both of them together. But yeah. I enjoyed the boxing, of course.
You were a light welterweight champion, amateur champion.
Yeah, I think there was 2 divisions. One was lightweight, I think, and one was blooming light welterweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, under 10 stone and under 7'7". 3 years difference.
Right. Now, you're telling me one of your sparring partners was your sister in the lounge room.
Yeah. Not in the lounge room, in a more confined area up our passage with Dad, sitting in a damn rocking chair there, smoking his pipe after a hard day's work at the fruit shop. And he was the referee, a bit lazy and a bit ruthless towards my sister, but that was my first sparring partner, my sister. And I thought it was a bit unfair, but anyway, she was a little older than me, I suppose, but weights didn't come in it. She's a couple of pounds heavy, but we won't say that was her no disadvantage. She was a female, and it should never have been happening. You know, the women fighting his sister, getting to know the ropes of boxing through belting your sister around the damn hallway of your house. Yeah. Anyway, that was my first recollection of blooming putting the gloves on. I must have got a pair of gloves for Christmas or something like that. Yeah. But, no, it was good. And then I liked boxing. I used to go down the blokes' road down the road there, and he cut the lawns for 2 shillings, which is 20 cents, and 20 cents a pop, 2 shillings. Yeah. And a couple of my mates used to often come down just as I was finishing, and the policeman that used to employ me for my wages, he nice old typical Irish copper, a good bloke, Mr. Lavin, and he used to get a bit of satisfaction when I'd finished the work just to put the gloves on with the blokes that come down and see me and go through a few rounds, you know, just for his own entertainment. And that's where I got a bit of a grounding and liking for boxing.
Now, why did you come to Cranbourne, John? You were married to Coral?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I couldn't afford a place down Mordialloc, that's for sure. And I never told you, Frank, but a bloke, he was another, like a lot of fellas, they just bulled us a bit. And he told me he played out here in the ruck at Cranbourne, and where's Cranbourne sort of thing. And he explained where it was, and I thought he was a good ruckman the way he was talking. He was a lot older than me, of course. He went with the girl next door. And she was about, you know, they were in their late teens, early 20s, both of them. And his name was Bill, not Bill Russell, Bill, oh gee, I forget his name. But anyway, he was a bulldust artist. So when I did get out here, eventually to Cranbourne, I thought I wouldn't mind playing with Cranbourne. You meet blokes like this and that. And I didn't know where it was at first, Frank. But I knew it was somewhere near Dandenong. But when I seen that in the paper about land for sale or something, and as I say, I couldn't afford to have pitched in and bought a house first up at Mordialloc, so I bought a little block of land at Cranbourne for, I think, $500 it was then. And 2 years later, I built a house on that, of course, and just on the same subject of wage, price of blooming houses. 2 years later, I bought one off Mr. Finning from Cranbourne Real Estate. He maintained I'd paid too much for it, and I did too, because he sold me a block of land for $200 about 2 years later at Cranbourne, which I built on that one eventually as well. But yeah, but they were hard days, but good days, Frank. Cranbourne, then I was terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your first impression when you went down to Cranbourne?
Oh,
The first night when you started training with them?
I'll always remember the first night, Frank. The blokes were having a water fight. This was after training. They run them to the building, which was not clad. It didn't have any internal
Plaster
or timber, nothing, just the studs were showing, of course. And there was blooming bare wires exposed, apparently. I didn't see them, but I know that because of what happened later on. And I thrown the water around, and one bloke threw a bucket of water at another bloke, and the bloke touched the switch with his bare hand, and he stuck to the switch just about. And Christ almighty, he got a hell of a kick that night. So he did give him an out on the field, but he copped a beauty that night, touching the bare wire and exposed wire. Very dangerous. But I thought at the time, welcome to Cranbourne. Yeah, welcome to Cranny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, your second year at Cranbourne, the first year you finished second last on the ladder.
Second last year.
And then Jerry Pennyfeather took you to the grand final in the second year.
Yeah, and we won that one.
You won that
one. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Jerry Pennyfeather?
He was a wonderful footballer, Jerry Pennyfeather. He was the best. He came from Dandenong, of course, and he represented the VFA 9 consecutive years. Yeah.
So Cranbourne was lucky to get him then?
Oh yeah, he was still playing real good football. In fact, he played 3 years with us and got us in the finals for the 3 years. We won the flag in '66, of course. But then he went back to Dandy and played with the seconds for a few years. And he was pushing up near 40 then. And somehow two of them must have been better recruiters than us, because they knew he was on the loose again, and they recruited him for down there, and he was pushing 40, and he won 3 best and fairest, and I think they won the 3 flags while he was there.
Right, yep.
So, but he was a wonderful footballer. Very fair, didn't rave or rant or swear. Very fair, fit, terrific. Yeah.
And the following year, in '67, the club finished third on the ladder. but something happened. You were a bit cocky that year.
Yeah, I think we finished third. From memory, we played Beaconsfield, who had just scraped in by default, I think is the word, but because I think it was Doveton from memory, Frank, they'd played some players in the Sunday League or something, and they had to forfeit their position, unfortunately, and it was filled by Beaconsfield, and we were a bit overconfident, I reckon. Anyway, cutting a long story short, Frank, we got done. I think we kicked 7.25. That's bad kicking, but that's bad football. And then they beat us by about a goal. But very disappointing, but our own fault. We're too cocky, I reckon. You know, Frank, they got the last bloke for the team at about 1 o'clock in the morning or something out of the pub, one of the local pubs, because they had finished their, according to them, their season, earlier, the previous Saturday.
Yeah.
But they all banded together at the last minute, and they got their side together and they beat us. Well, good on them, they won it and we lost it. We might have been a bit overconfident and they played beyond their blooming standards. Yeah.
And in 69 you took over from Jerry and coached the side for the next 2 years. So you coached 3 years. But tell us a little bit about how you come to take over the side and that.
Yeah, I think 3 years, Frank.
That's what I said, 3 years. You took over in 69 and coached.
Right. Coached. So I said 2, no.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'll get to the point. We didn't do much good, didn't do anywhere near as Jerry. But with all due respect, we did lose a lot of good players, Jerry included. But and we only filled them with virtually all the local kids. And most of them, but no, we finished just out of the fourth for the next 3 years. But then I moved on to Pierstar for a couple of years.
That was in 72?
72 and 3,
yeah.
And we runners up in 72 in the Nepean League, That was Pierstar, of course, They're a little bit older club, a bit more mature, but nothing wrong with it. I'd had my time at Cranny and nothing wrong with Cranny, but they're a bit more mature, the boys that, they didn't run through the bloody the club rooms after training, throwing water around, that sort of thing.
Now, in 75, you came back and coached.
Yeah,
How did that come about?
Well, I was asked to come back because that was the year I think we had 11 boys in against, they're very young, and we had 11 boys in against Officer that year, and we beat Officer. I mention them because that was a good win to have so many kids in. But they're all local kids, all good kids, very good footballers, but not quite mature enough. They need another 2 or 3 years on them. I think only one went on to play. I think with Morty Alec, that was Doggy Cole.
Right. Yeah.
From memory.
Now, John, you're known as a bit of a tough guy on the field, but that's not true.
No, not really.
But I have some information here. You had a run-in with a little guy from Berwick one time. A bloke called Stevie Green.
Stevie Greenwood.
Greenwood, sorry.
Yeah.
I sounded correct.
Yeah. No. Like when you say running with him, what happened? Poor old Stevie, just at the wrong time, at the wrong place, What did I say? The wrong place, and I was having a bit of a blooming go with some bloke, and he ran in to remonstrate or something. No, I couldn't see. I couldn't see the face. I didn't know how big or small he was. Turned out he was the smallest bloke on the field. And anyway, what I did was simply, I glimpsed up and he was interfering or trying to pull us apart or something. I seen the Berwick socks there. That's all I saw, seriously. And I jumped up, I must have my eyes closed or something after I seen he spotted his sock. But I let go a left hook and it caught him on the jaw. But he was the smallest bloke on the ground. Stevie Grimm, he'd never thrown a punch in his life, I don't think. But anyway, I don't want to brag about that because it wasn't, that's not even a victory. He's a good little bloke, Stevie Grimm, wouldn't he only run in to help his mate or something?
What about the bloke from Marieholland, young Billy?
Oh, Billy, oh yeah. I won't mention his second name. He ended up being a good bloke, Billy, but...
You're good friends with him today, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, he's all right, Billy. Won't mention his second name. But Billy, yeah, he, I don't know, I was in a bit of strife or something there, and the ground he run in and he stuck his chin out at me, you know, he shouldn't have done that. Anyway, he stuck his chin out and said, have a go, have a go. Well, it was like, at the time, it was like waving a red rag to a bull, because I was a bit worked up, and anyway, I let one go and it hit him flush on the jaw. Anyway, yeah, the rest is history. Yeah. But he's a good bloke, Billy.
Yeah, John, do you feel that you might have been like a duck in duck season? Because I believe Friday night, there was a time there during your career you had a broken thumb, and Coral used to put icy pole sticks alongside it and bandage it up.
Yeah. And it was about 6 inches long by the time she'd finished and all the rest. And talking about, did you mention a duck?
Yeah,
I reckon it was duck season. I was a bloody duck, I reckon. But I remember the bloke, I think you're referring to the time he fastened on my finger, and it must have been pre-arranged or something, because he, as quick as a flash, he's singing, I got him, and all this. Jeez, it was all pre-arranged, I reckon. Anyway, that sort of thing, yeah, I felt like I was a bit persecuted at times with the opposition. I had a little bit of a reputation because there weren't a lot of knuckleheads in our club. They were decent young blokes, most of them. A couple that could look after themselves, like Big Buck, and Lenny Scan was a beauty. He'd go in and fly the flag for Cranny, don't worry. But yeah.
So just on that, John, who's the toughest player you've seen at Cranbourne?
Oh, probably Lenny Scan. Laff was very good. Laff. I'll mention about four. Lenny Scan, Laff, Big Grunter, I can't overlook him, can I?
No.
Big Mark O'Leary, that was. And I've got to mention my own son, Darren. They were terrified of Darren, believe me. You ask someone else, Frank, not me, but ask the opposition maybe, or his own teammates. But Darren, and he was feared on the field, I'll tell you. Ask Big Rigolo from Chelsea and blokes like that. Yeah, I mentioned to a bloke I mentioned Darren Martello to a bloke at Cooey once, and he said, Darren Martello. I said, why do you know him? Know him, he said. Jesus, he nearly killed me. He said he drove me head into the coach's box once. That was Vossi, Big Vossi. He was another nice bloke from Cooey, but I don't know. Darren didn't go and look for it, but he was very, very capable, I tell you. And the other three I mentioned were very good too.
Now, for a time there, you were a runner at Cranbourne, and you had to go out to talk to Big Grunter one day. Can you remember that and tell us about that story?
Yeah, I told you once, I reckon. But I must have, you've remembered. That makes you either dangerous or invaluable, Frank. But yeah, in relation to that, I came across Grunter as well for 3 years at Pierstar before he went to Cranbourne. So I knew a lot of him, and he was very capable, believe me. He drove a bloke's head about 3 foot into the mud once, caught him and drove him into the mud in the ground. Jesus.
What about the time you had to chase him up the ground?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I branched off. Yeah, he was getting in a bit of strife, and I was the runner, and I didn't wait to be told, run out and tell so-and-so, tell Grunter to stop that. No, I've seen Grunter, and he was going to definitely get himself reported that day. So I run out to save the bloke's skin as well as Grunter being reported. And I eventually caught up to Grunter, and he was about 50 yards behind the other bloke who'd taken off in a shot. Anyway, Grunter, what are you doing? I sang out, what are you doing? And he said, well, he won't stop and so, fight. And I said as quick as a flash, first time I ever expressed myself in these words, and I said, yeah, well, nor would I. I wouldn't stop and fight either. With that, Grunter just shook his head. He gave it a thought, shook his head and realised I was right. And he just wandered away, and I reckon that poor old bloke's still running. Yeah.
So, John, that's our toughest player. Who's the best player you've seen at Cranbourne?
I thought you asked me that earlier.
No, I didn't.
Jerry Pennyfather.
Jenny Pennyfather was your best player you've ever seen, that's right.
Oh, well, at the time, but I remember saying, they asked me that question one night at the Hall of Fame, and I mentioned Jerry, and in the same breath, I see a bloke down there, and sitting at the table, and they were all listening intently, of course, and I mentioned him, and it was Mark Holt. I said, well, Mark Holt, I've never seen Mark play, which I hadn't at the time, but he had the score on the board at the time, and I said, he's not far behind, words to that effect. I said, well, since then, Jerry, Jerry's went to touring in the meantime, and all the rest, and he finished his footy, and Mark still had another 10 years left in him, and he's still going, I think, down Lang, or he's coming out to Cranny this year, I think.
Yep.
Anyway, since then, Mark's proved he's been the best player over the years. Yeah.
Fair enough. And now, you started up the Super Rules. How did that come about, John?
Well, I noticed an ad in the paper saying they're going to start up a team for the oldies. I forget what they referred it as. They might have referred it as the Super Rules over 35s. Anyway, that's what it was. And I wrote straight back to the bloke whose name was John Hammer. Now, John Hammer's name in Italian is simply John Martello. Same name as me, but with an Aussie name as Hammer for Martello. But anyway, John was from the zero in, nil in. He ran a blooming, place up nil called the zero in, simple as that. And anyway, I applied, and he responded back to me, of course, and I think I was the first bloke to get a side together in Cranbourne, and first in Victoria or Melbourne, and even I reckon maybe in Australia. I mean that, Frank, because you've got me wound up a bit. It's one of my little pets.
Yes.
But I can speak confidently and say that I got a side together because I just finished a couple of years earlier, so itchy feet, I suppose. And I got a lot of my friends who were a similar age and a couple of years younger, like my brother, got them together and had the side already firing on account of playing our practice matches against teams like Hines, International Harvester, seriously, Hemming Parker, who were from the pub in bloody Dandenong. I didn't know they were, but anyway, they got a bit of a surprise because a lot of our blokes are pretty seasoned blokes, a lot of my mates, and they got a bit of a shock. We had a few, sparring sessions out on the ground, I suppose you'd call them, and they came off second best, and they knew they were up against it. But that side was a good side that I got together, honestly, but that was early in the piece, and
So the Hines you mentioned, that was the Hines in Dandenong. The
just
Hines factory.
Hines, and then there was International Harvester. There's another one there around another factory. But and then we used to play Devon Meadows. We were just getting a side together, of course. I'm referring to 1981.
Yep.
So it's when we kicked off. So we helped them even get their side together. And I was coaching the kids at the time. And I even went down and had a talk to the kids at Devon Meadows. Yeah, that's right. Because they started their third side a year or so before they feel their senior side. Yeah.
All right, John, not many people would know this, but you wrote a book on your life. Can you tell us what brought you to do that?
Yeah, sure. I had a stroke there a few years back, nearly 20 years. 20 years, because it was 1996. No, am I talking rubbish, am I? Yeah, 1996 to 2026, that's 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. So
it's a bit longer, actually. But
yes.
It's 30 years. But,
is it?
well, 26. It's 2026. It's 26 years and 96.
Yeah, it was 2006. I'm sorry.
I was going to correct you, John.
Yeah,
but
no, it's all right. It's all right. I got some figures in my head.
You have, John.
But no, you just should have pulled me up. Then I would have. I knew there was something wrong. But anyway, it's 20 years. But what was we on about, Frank?
About your book.
Oh, the book. That's right. Well, well, that stroke had something to do with it, of course. But I've had a lot of spare time, should I say, in the meantime, in that 20 years. I still follow the footy. I've followed Cranbourne, I've followed Pearsdale, of course. I've been involved with Cooey Rupp, with one of my mates that coached early in the piece, Bastenack, Peter Bastenack, a wonderful coach, wonderful bloke. And he got me involved in the footy more recently, but you asked me the question, what got me involved in
the book.
In the book, sorry,
yeah,
Frank,
right.
I'm the old mind, it's going 100 mile an hour all the time. And I've enjoyed doing the book, yeah.
It was a way of you putting some of your memories down on paper. The people you'd met.
Yeah. Is that thing's gone, is it? But I just hold that book up and just show that to the multitude of
This is probably one of many copies of Johnny's book.
It's just for my friends and family, it's got there, Frank. But it's been very interesting, I'll tell you. And met a lot of wonderful people in my time, and still do meet them on account of the book. Like people like yourself coming along and know a little bit about this and that. But anyway, yeah.
No, it's been good, John, and everyone listening to this would have realised John sort of can trail off and start thinking about something else. And many a time I've sat here with John talking, and John has started on one subject and a name will pop in his head and we're off onto another tangent.
It's true.
But it's always been fun with John talking about Cranbourne and about the past. So I'd like to thank John.
Thanks very much, Frank.
For being our first guest on Looking Back, and we hope you enjoyed it and you'll tune in next time. Thank you.
Thanks.